What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Good Chalk, Bad Chalk, presented by Equine Edge. I am Brady Klotz here with my co-host Mike Somich, ready to give you guys some Keeneland action this afternoon. Something new for us, but we're going to give it a go. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. We were hoping to have the video for Keeneland. Unfortunately, we didn't get the approval, but hopefully we'll have that next week when we kind of jump on and attack, hopefully, Keeneland again. I love doing Keeneland. It's nice having one of these major tracks going here on a Wednesday.
It really is. I mean, Keeneland's one of my favorite little boutique meets that we get in springtime. Everybody points towards it. You get a lot of top efforts from a lot of trainers. And it's not a meet where you're running a horse multiple times, so to say, for most trainers. It's like a one and done. It's here and it's gone in 4 weeks. And so you're getting top efforts from all these shippers coming from everywhere. And now we got, only a few more weeks until the Derby. And so I'm getting the fever, man. The season's here.
It's exciting, man. You're right. You usually don't see horses come back very often twice at Keeneland. Ironically, Ethereal Road entered again Saturday. So 1 week break for the coach here, and D. Wayne's just turning them around quick to try and get some more Derby points here and just lock up his spot. It's nice, man. I'm excited for the Derby here. This is going to be a great 3 weeks of discussion kind of leading up to it here. You've got a lot of different horses coming in from a lot of different places. It's nice. We haven't seen a lot of the different divisions face each other, different areas face each other. So we're not really sure. Is it California? Is it Florida? Is it New York? Where are the best horses coming from for the Derby this year?
Exactly. And it's all about who makes the gate. We're still about 3.5 weeks away from Derby. And, we've had two speed horses deflect, Forbidden Kingdom and Classic Causeway. So now there's, people were saying 2 weeks ago, oh, it's going to be a pace collapse in the Derby. Well, now we've got two of the faster horses not on the Derby trail anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Slow Down Andy now, the fastest opening half mile of any of the last Derby preps. So that's not the horse I would expect or would have expected to be the fastest one going into this, but that is where we are. And it's interesting because Epicenter is currently, I think, the 12th or 13th fastest early half mile. So it'll be interesting to see where Epicenter ends up landing because there's been a lot of talk about whether or not he'll be more forwardly placed now or maybe even on the lead in the Derby after those defections that you just discussed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I think the race that I'm really looking forward to is going to be the Kentucky Oaks this year. We have a great group of fillies with Ness' performance last week. Echo Zulu coming back off of a layoff wasn't that impressive last time out. So I'm looking for her to maybe bounce back a little bit. We got plenty of others to talk about. So I think that might be the race that you could really find some value in this year. But we've got 6 minutes till Keeneland goes off. So we're going to handicap a late pick 4 for you guys. Hopefully you've already started a ticket and maybe you align with what we're going with, or you're just starting one and want to play this afternoon. Mike, first race of the sequence, it's going to be 3-year-olds and up, allowance, non-winners, lifetime 2, going 6 furlongs on this Keeneland dirt track. Where did you want to start here with this race 5?
Well, I guess we should probably start with the 12, who's currently your favorite right now. Horse got bet down pretty heavily. We're sitting at even money here off, I believe it was a 9-2 morning line. So 12's taking a ton of money. Is a logical horse. I didn't expect even money. I liked this horse a lot more at 9-2 than I did do it even money. But I do have this horse on my pick 5 ticket that's live right now, and I've got a pick 4 that I'm going to throw up here in a second as well. This horse just makes a ton of sense. I mean, it was very impressive last time out at Belmont. If you look at who finished third, I believe it was Mo Donegal finished third in that race behind him. So pretty good group of horses that he ran against there at Belmont. So you got to expect that this horse is going to be ready to go for trainer Todd Pletcher. First off, a long layoff here, first time against winners.
Well, I remember watching the replay of this race, and I believe Irad was on the favorite in this race that Viatari outbid with Saez, and I actually bet this horse at like 4 or 5 to 1 last time out. So nice. Sometimes it's okay to go against Irad with the jockey god, but only with Luis Saez. I love the 12 here. I didn't expect even money. I mean, I saw the 9-2 morning line, and I'm thinking, I'm probably going to get a little bit better in the horizontals if this 9-2 holds up. But, even money, everybody's got this horse in their tickets. I did include the 12. I wasn't going to single the 12, though. I also went 3, 6, 7. The 3-horse, Unpredictable Bay, you get Julian Leparoux, going to forgive the last effort, was in over his head in a 76 SOR, really just no threat. I'm hoping we can get back to some of that previous form here, and I typically like horses coming back to a familiar track or familiar state to where they had success in, and this horse went down to Tampa Bay and just didn't like it. If we look at the Churchill efforts, maybe we're going to be good enough to win here. And I kind of like the double-digit price. EE had it 15 to 1. Looks like we're at 8 to 1 right now. Also had the 6-horse Overbore here. Wesley Ward, other than Golden Pal, has really not been doing anything so far to start the meet. And now it's really early in the meet, but hey, in a week, this meet's going to be halfway over. And so, really his horses have not been firing. And Rosario is definitely not a guy that I want on a Ward horse. Typically, the Wesley Ward horses that are really good are the ones that are lightning out of the gate. And Rosario is not usually the fastest getting a horse out of the gate. And it looks like this horse maybe settles a little bit. So maybe it'll fit Rosario's style a little bit better. I just didn't want this horse to beat me in overbore. And then I also use the 7 horse here, Underhill's Tap. This is an Al Stall horse that Colby Hernandez is going to ride. We're going to be cutting back to sprint distance from route last time out in January. And I feel like Al Stall always has at least 1 or 2 really good ones that he sends over here to Keeneland, and he gives Colby a call to ride.
Yeah, I think that I'm using the 7 as well. You hit the nail on the head there. I thought that the 3 was interesting. You mentioned the horse kind of cutting back. I think the key here is getting back to the sprint distance for the 3 horse here. That last effort was 8.5, and really it was one of those situations where you could tell that they were trying to go for the longer distances just to see what kind of horse that they had, and see if they could kind of get them into that into the Derby trail. It didn't run that well in Sam F. Davis, but like you said, not really a horse that wants 2 turns. Much better at sprinting. I think they're getting back to the right trip here. So I can see the 3 as being usable. I didn't have him on the ticket, but he makes sense to me. The 7, I think, makes a ton of sense for the same reasons. Last effort was at 1 mile and 16th. We're cutting back to 6 furlongs today. I think he's probably going to run a pretty big race here. I think that this 9 is interesting for that same reason as well. Breaks its maiden going 6 furlongs, stretches out to 1 mile and 16th last time out for Steve Asmussen. It doesn't run very well going the 1 mile and 16th, just kind of quits toward the end of that race. I think we're getting back to what this horse wants to do with sprinting. So I think the 9 is awfully live here at a price right now. We're getting 13-1 off an 8-1 morning line. So I definitely like that as well. And then I'm going to the inside. I'm interested in both the 1 and the 2 horses at big time prices here. We have not seen the 2 Mickey from Wexford since running at Keeneland last October. That horse that day was 25-1, had a horse right behind it, All in Sync, that won next time out. So that maiden race came back pretty well. John Ennis is one of those trainers that absolutely shoots for this meet. He's just trying to get winners home here. You got Mitch Merle aboard. And I like the fact that we've got that 10-1 morning line, 10-1 E morning line, and we've got it jumped all the way up to 18-1 here. So getting a nice price on the 2 first time against winners. And then right to the inside, Sissaway Now, I think is interesting as well. McLean Robinson is another one that brings horses in here. Generally, you see him in the Midwest. He runs up at Canterbury quite a bit, but I think that he makes the 1 horse makes sense quite a bit sense here as well. I really like horses that have professional efforts, and that's exactly what we got. I mean, they went fast at Oaklawn in the first race, 21-1, 44-3, and this horse was able to sit off that pace and then close, which is something you don't often see from first-time starters. So I like the professionalism in the 1. I'm willing to take a shot at a price with him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I like your comment about John Ennis. He always shows up at Keeneland. It's like him and Ben Colebrook are the guys that you got to watch out for, especially, and Hancock at like 15-1. We'll move on to the leg 2. This is going 9 furlongs on the turf here. Nice to see some actual good turf racing. When we've been covering these southern tracks that have speed biases every single time, Keeneland track doesn't play that way. It plays fair most of the time. We got some familiar names here. Land Biscuit. That horse has done everything now. Tried the synthetic. We've tried turf. I thought this was a pretty decent group. Did you try to key in and maybe go skinny here? I know you like to kind of go skinny when a race seems wide open.
Yeah, I only went too deep here. I'm going to try and see if we can get a little bit of a price home in the 8 horse Lamb Biscuit. I love the fact that Flavian Pratt's picking this up. He had a huge weekend at Keeneland. This horse, I thought, ran a lot better than it looks. 2 back, going 1.5 miles on that synthetic course. It's impossible to go wire to wire. And then that last race, they came home very, very quickly. They came home in 24 or 23 seconds for the final quarter of a mile. So I feel like trying to close ground there was tough. So I think those last 2 races are much better than what they look like on paper. And this Keeneland turf course is playing toward horses that are coming from a little bit off the pace right now. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see from Lamb Biscuit. So I'm going to use the 8 Lamb Biscuit. And then I think the favorite makes a ton of sense here. The 6 Aviano. It just has been in very good form, should sit a nice trip here. Second off a layoff, second time out as a 4-year-old for Pletcher. You get IRAD up. I think you're going to see all systems go there. And last time lost to a wire-to-wire winner. They got that went quickly at Gulfstream. And so I'm not worried about that last race. Hopefully we can see the 6 pick it up here.
Yep, absolutely. All right, they're getting ready to go into the gate. We'll go to the next race real quick. I singled Stage Raider here in leg number 3. I know you were probably against Stage Raider, maybe trying to beat him. Were you trying with the other Chad, Winterpool? Winterpool's got quite the turn of foot late.
I did use Winterpool. I thought he was the Chad that I was interested in here. I ended up going 4 deep. I went 3, 5, 7, 9 in this leg, trying to get around the favorite, who I think made sense. I mean, I get why Stage Raider is going to be bet, but it's just one of those horses that I'm not as interested in hammering here.
Yep. And then we go to the last leg, the leg that we're going to get paid. I was just 4-8 here. I felt like the 8-horse St. Helena was going to be really tough for Corrales and Ward. When they team up, they're really tough to beat. And then I also like Tom Amos' horse Dream Music. So I just went 4-8 in the last leg.
Yeah, we saw this similar. I went 4-6. I thought the 8 was a legit threat as well. I'm worried that the price is going to just be non-existent. I think because of the scratches, he's going to get absolutely hammered. So I try to get around him. The 6's numbers, I think, are very similar to the 4's when you look at them. And I think that that 12-1 morning line is going to help us try and get a nice little payout here in the last one, because I do think you're going to get somewhere between 8 and 10 to 1 on a horse that has a legit shot against the 4-horse, who I believe is the horse to beat here.
Yep. All right, the race is off, and we've got 2 50 to 1 shots dueling on the front end. The Vicky Oliver horse, India Inc., and then the Michael Tomlinson horse, Conager. Looks like the 9 is sitting a decent trip here. Jose Ortiz on that Asmussen horse that you really liked at 18 to 1. I was trying to figure out why Rosario wasn't on that horse if he's Asmussen's guy. And we see Luis Saez pumping on this 12, and this 10 he's clear.
He's loose,
he's going
man.
on with it. 70 to 1.
Absolutely wild. 73 to 1. The only horse making any ground up is the 2 trying to come down the middle, but there's no way they're getting to this horse. So absolute bombs away.
Yeah, and it was a rarity to where he was in the gate at 50 to 1, and he actually clicked up to 70 to 1. We've been seeing lately at some of the tracks where that horse would have gone off at 10 to 1.
Wild.
Wow.
So it's a Tomlinson horse for Rocco. First time on the dirt here as a 3-year-old. Jimmy Creed, the sire, man, that is a tough horse to get to. That horse deserved to be 70 to 1.
And he showed a ton of speed. Let's see what the pace number had to say. The pace number had him sitting 4th. And so, when I'm looking at the pace number, I'm looking at it in groups. Like if I see a couple of horses in the 90s, I think, okay, they're both fast, but one may be faster than the other. And then when I see a group of 70s, I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to group those together. And he just went out and dueled with this 5-horse. So it was the 10 and the 5 on the lead, and he just carried on with it. I mean, I was waiting for him to stop. I was like, okay, when's he going to throw in the towel? Did anybody in the chat have the 10? And if you did, make a case for it, because I don't see it. We were at Gulfstream last time out. I actually was there for this race, and I don't think that I used this horse. Yeah, last time out, he was 20 to 1 for Tomlinson, got bet down to 5 to 1, going 5 furlongs on the turf. So, I mean, I didn't see the current form. I really didn't.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because it's horse coming out of turf sprints that were going very fast early. So I guess you could say he definitely had that early speed that would put him in contention, but never gone over 5 furlongs. So that's definitely a knock on this horse. When it was giving it up at 5 furlongs, we're going 6 today. It's a very surprising horse. I mean, this is one of those where I would probably have to have the all button to get to the 10 horse.
Yeah, the good old all button. Yep. And Tomlinson and Rocco 16%. That's not bad. EE gave the horse a 5% win. EE thought the horse should have been 25 to 1 instead of 73 to 1. My goodness.
We're officially we're on carryover watch now as well. I mean, the pick 6 is definitely a carryover, and now the pick 5 is as a shot if we get bombs here in a couple of these other legs.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about the non-jackpot pick 6 is that you get the carryovers. It's not the 70-30 split. It's really horse player friendly. And you know what? I've seen some great scores. Like when you hit that Aqueduct pick 6 a few months back, wasn't your ticket only $64 and it was a $1 wager?
Yeah, you don't have to go crazy. And it was a $1 wager. It was a $64 ticket, scooped a $31,000 pool. And I think the highest payout was like $13, $14 on it. Like you don't even need to have the bombs when you're playing the $1 denomination pick 6s. You just need to string together 4, 5, 6 to 1 shots and just have the one ticket that has that specific sequence. You don't even need the crazy prices, which is nice about these dollar tickets. And it's, Keeneland's going to be a nice pool for Thursday now with that pick 6 carrying over.
Absolutely. And then me and Mike will be there a week from Thursday. So if you guys are around Keeneland, hit us up. We'd love to meet you guys. And hopefully the weather's better than what it has been. So, and we got that tournament too, the grade 1 gamble. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So Mizu Man, no way to have that horse. Horses are not wiring at Keeneland. I know, because I've been betting speed horses and I haven't been cashing many tickets recently. We're seeing some Colonial Downs form translate over to Keeneland, it seems, recently too. And I thought that's also surprising. But like we said at the beginning of the show, trainers absolutely gun for these weekends. I just was never getting to that 10 horse. Michelle or Christopher could not find that horse with a radar. Yeah, I agree.
And that's the tough part. I mean, you bring up a great point about trainers specifically looking at this meet. I mean, it's the same with Saratoga, where you have some horses that just run out of their skin. You don't expect it, but this is the goal for the trainer was to, probably run. Okay, we're going to get this one race in him down in Florida, and then we're going to bring him up to Keeneland and see if we can get him second off the layoff, ready to fire. And that's what Tomlinson was thinking. That's what the horse is able to do. It's still just wild to try and get to that one, though.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It is wild. So, all right. Well, you know what happens when you're out of the pick 4? You wheel it back.
You play a pick 3.
Try a pick 3. It's what's done is done. So we're going to have a little bit of time between races, guys. If you guys want to talk about anything else, I know we've got the Maker's Mark Mile tomorrow, which is one of my favorite races of the spring. And it's got a pretty deep field as well. So Oldie didn't have it, but it wasn't impossible. Had some fast 5 furlong races on dirt as a 2-year-old. Yes, he was decently fast, Oldie. I haven't been seeing speed hold up all that well at Keeneland. If you guys watched Keeneland last weekend, speed was just not where you wanted to be. And so maybe the track has changed over the week.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on it. It's one of those where the couple days off, and I'm not sure what the weather was like, but it's probably warmed up a little bit. I know it's not snowing there right now. So as the track dries off, speed may play better and better here.
Yeah. I kind of thought we would not even get close to this 8-1 morning line on Land Biscuit. This was a horse where, okay, you get Pratt. No matter who Pratt's riding is going to get way over bet now. But is he getting over bet because he still goes off at like 3 and 4-1, where you have to swallow like 6-5 on that Pletcher Luis Saez horse in the last race, and look what you got out of it. So Pratt is actually providing a lot of value. And Mike, I think you mentioned it. Maybe it was you. I thought last week on the show where Pratt's not the regular rider for a lot of these trainers. And so what is he picking up? Is he picking up some leftovers and he's just upgrading these horses because he's that great of a rider? He is getting Chad Brown's best horses now, I believe. But it's kind of cool that this guy just comes from out west. And, we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. Okay, how could he do in New York? Is he the best rider? Well, we don't know. He's not riding it so much out west. And now he comes here and he wins on like these 5-6-1 shots.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything he's sitting on right now is live. And if the Zandon ride, I think, was a great example of how good he can be. And then he had another ride on Saturday on an 11 horse, I believe it was, that went off at 17-1. And it was just a great example of how you should ride a speed horse in a race with a ton of speed horses. And so he's upgrading all of these horses, and he's definitely not the first call. But you remember him last year at Belmont when he went up there for a weekend, and I think he won like 6 of the 9 races he rode. Like, he's had a couple just epic days or weekends on these big days. I think that he had one in Kentucky last year too. And so the trainers definitely know how well how good he is. And I think he's getting the call now on horses that don't have their regular rider. Like, this would usually be a Alvarado horse. You can see that you also have Velasquez who's ridden it, as well as Castellano. So the Land Biscuit's been kind of passed around from a jockey perspective. And so it kind of makes sense that this is the type of horse that Pratt will land on. I'm really excited to see what happens when he gets up to Belmont, because then you're going to find out exactly where he's getting first call and who's going to try and make him the jockey. It'll be interesting to see if it's like, is it going to be Grand Motion? Is it going to be Pletcher? Obviously, Brown is sending him on some very good horses. And when we talk about the Maker's Mark Mile, I mean, that's another horse, a brown horse there that he's getting the mount on that looks awfully live. Yeah,
I would agree. And one thing I like about Pratt is I feel like you never get a lazy ride. That's how he was, even though, I don't think he was riding against much out west because that colony's kind of dwindled a little bit over the years, but he would win 4, 5, 6 races some days, and you only have like an 8-race card to do it in. And so he's always trying for you. If he's not first, he seems like he's second. And so when you're betting exactas, you really have to pay attention to jockey effort and jockeys that are interested in at least running second or third for a trainer, and not just, getting the horse under wraps for the last 16th of a mile. And that means a lot in your vertical plays.
100%. I think it's going to be fun too, because he learned so much about that the colony in California that he knew how everybody wanted to ride and their general tactics, and he was turning it absolutely on their head. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the New York turf races specifically, because he's not going to let them get away with 49, 50 half miles. He's going to push the pace if he feels like it's slow, and it's going to make a very interesting summer up there.
Yep, absolutely. Oldie, I also use the 2 horse on my pick 5. This horse is not getting a whole lot of attention on the board. We got a low win percentage, but I did like the current form here. And I like that we're staying on turf again. I think we had some trip trouble. So I think the 2 at a price oldie is not a bad idea whatsoever. But I really thought that the 2 horses to beat here, Mike, was Aviano and Land Biscuit. I gave a little bit of love to King Vega on the outside. This is another horse that I didn't want at 5-2. I felt like maybe the 8-1 morning line was fair, but the win percentage really loves this horse. And this horse is coming from overseas. And Graham Motion's been winning a little bit recently. He's actually starting to heat up a bit. Did you have any love for King Vega here?
I did it 8-1. It's a lot harder at 5-2. Just because, Graham Motion, very good trainer, but he's only 9% first time North America, 1 for 11 essentially. He generally, you want to see him race a horse into condition a little bit. So I'm more interested second off the layouts. I would rather take this horse next race than this one, specifically with that 5-2 number. I do think the 2 Danville's awfully interesting. It was claimed 2 races back by 10 Strike Racing. 10 Strike Racing is one of the partners, Marshall Graham. He's very, very, very sharp guy. They place horses extremely well. And the fact that they stretched this horse all the way out to 1 mile and 3/16 last time out, or 3/8 last time out. And now we're cutting back in distance here to 1 mile and 1/8. The horse made the lead and then kind of gave it up late. I think this horse could have a pretty big effort here. It's one of those spots where if you see the 10 Strike as a claim, generally they have a plan for the horse, and usually it's a pretty good plan. So I think that 17-1 is definitely an overlay of what the actual horse's odds are to win this race.
Yeah. Shout out to Marshall Graham. That dude is always at the top of the leaderboard, it seems like, in the live money tournaments that he plays. I think he finished like 3rd in he won the BCBC 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yep. 2 years back, he won the BCBC. He's very, very sharp bettor. All
right, we got a new user here. Being new, I have a question. Chicken dinner winner. There we go. Being new, I have a question on the horse's line that is the average money won at the distance, turf, and track. Okay, what is your question on that tab? We'll go to the lifetime tab and just talk about it here a little bit. You can sort it by, how many races, where they finished, total money earned, and then total money earned on that surface. And so, if you want to know, hey, is this horse a dual threat? Like, I think of a horse like Catholic Boy that was good on dirt and turf, and seeing, hey, how much money I've won on each surface. I don't look at that a whole lot, Mike. Some people do. They want to see, okay, this horse has made 400,000. This horse has only made 30,000, but the horse that made 400,000 maybe has 30 races, and the horse that made 30,000 may not have broke his maiden until he was 5. So it's like, to me, money really doesn't matter as much.
I look at it specifically in European races to see how much they've earned overseas when they're coming over here. I think there's some value in that, but I don't pay too much attention to it in the U.S. I do think it's interesting, like when you have these races, looking at the 4 and the 5 Cool Rags and Arabian Prince in this spot, less than, 25% of either of their earnings have come on turf. So that might be something you want to look at, and then you dive in. Okay, well, how many efforts have they had over the turf versus over the dirt? I mean, when you look at Cool Rags, for instance, 1 for 19 in the lifetime with 3 seconds and 4 thirds, 0 for 5 on the turf with a second and a third. So turf's clearly not Cool Rags' best surface. That might be a way to kind of weed out some of the horses that may not be varying or on their best surface today.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I like when you click on the handy view, you can see all of the different surfaces. You can see dirt, you can see turf, you can see synthetic, and then you can see the horse's lifetime at Keeneland, at the track that we're running at. So that information can be very useful. So let's see here. Brian Shields wins the Maker's Mark Mile. It is Friday afternoon. So I always wondered why they had that race on a Friday. I always thought it would be kind of a Saturday race, but hey, I remember one year I was in between meetings and I actually stopped and parked myself in a Walmart parking lot just so I could bet the race. And I lost because I bet Raging Bull like 3 years ago. And so let's not bring back bad memories, but the Bull did win the race last year. And he is unfortunately retired stud, so the Bull can't come back and defend. Speaking of, let's take a look at that race. I believe it's a
heck of a race.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely loaded. You've got In Love, which, I mean, this horse for Paulo Lobo really fired last year. Won not the Maker's Mark. Was this the Shadwell turf? Yeah, I think it was the Shadwell that In Love won. The race in the fall at Keeneland. That's kind of like the Maker's Mark Mile in the fall. Yep. We've got Cheryl Spite, who is no slouch, coming out of Tampa. Out of Roger Outfield's barn. Yeah, yep. Yeah. And you're getting probably I don't have the morning line odds up here yet, but EE thinks 20-1. I think that'd be a fantastic price on that horse. You get Ivar, and this was 50, Magic's horse last year, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And Cheryl Spite's 50-1 on the morning line. Wild, like 50-1 on that horse that's coming out of a grade 3 victory in the turf and improving.
With the jockey god, Luis Saez. So, 50-1. Then Ivar, who I've never been on the right side of this horse. I think he won was it 5-6 starts back? This was at Keeneland right before Breeders' Cup. And then he went to the Breeders' Cup Mile and, still finished 4th, which was very respectable because I think 3 Europeans finished in front of him. And then it was Ivar. So, this horse, I haven't really been able to figure him out. I know Magic's a huge fan of him.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Won the Shadwell Turf Mile in 2020 over the Keeneland surface. Went back and ran 4th in the Breeders' Cup Mile that year with it at Keeneland. Pretty lightly raced since then. Only 3 races in 2021, but did run in the Keeneland Turf Mile and then the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile as well, finishing 4th and 3rd there. So good efforts. Christopher brings up a point here. I mean, we talked about the 1 and the 5. Paulo Lobo is another trainer that targets Keeneland. So you got to think that both of these horses are absolutely ready to fire off the bench and definitely threats in here, which is it's going to be one of those where this is just a race. You got a lot of different directions you can go. Smooth Like Straight obviously was 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Mile last time out. Loves running 2nd. I think he's actually run 2nd the last 3 times or 4 times there.
He does. He's a horse you can key in an exacta or a try in 2nd place and play around that. Seriously, I mean, look at these efforts: 2nd, 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 1st, 3rd, 2nd. I mean, not a bad strategy.
No, not at all. And he's one of the 2 speeds here. If either Some Like It Hot Brown or Smooth Like Straight comes out of this race, one of them is going to be lone speed, which will give them a pretty big advantage here in this mile run. So I'd be interested to see if either of them end up scratching out, because that would make me kind of move the other forward. And then you've got, you got Set Piece, who obviously has been wonderful so far this year. Struggled a little bit at Fairgrounds, but was very good prior to that. And then you're going to have, and you have Mason. I think is the other horse you got to talk about. And Mason is my top pick right now, the 4 horse. We'll see if we get this price. I mean, right now I think it's 5-1 on the morning line. The 4 horse was a horse that was brought over from Europe, and it's going to be the first time out of Chad Brown's barn. Gets Flavian Pratt aboard, and this horse, they could have put it in a much easier spot. And the fact that this is where we're deciding to make the debut seems absolutely wild to me, because this is asking a lot for first time out as a 4-year-old to face this level of a field in a graded stakes right out of the gate. But Chad Brown definitely believes in it. And this is a horse by Kingsman. And Kingman is one of the best international sires for any type of turf.
And I like that Pratt's getting aboard this one, because I don't think public sector is that good. I think that horse has faced some soft fields. You get Irad in Chad, which, that means the horse is going to take money. It's Klarovich, the whole 9 yards. I don't think this horse is that impressive. And so, he was winning at, 72, 76, 72 SRRs. He was getting it done barely. And the horse takes money every single time. Now you're getting, I believe, is the morning line 8-1? I don't see it up here on EE yet. I believe that he was 8-1 morning line. Yeah, and he's got a very high GSR, the same sire as Mason, the 4 horse. And so I just think that I don't think you're going to get 8-1 on this horse. I think this horse will probably be pretty heavily bet, but I think he's a fade for me in this spot. And I think I'm going to the other Chad, just like you are, the 4 Mason. I just don't think that this horse fits with this group at all.
100% agree. It's a tough post too. I mean, breaking from the 11 post and going a mile on Keeneland turf course is difficult, because that first turn comes up pretty quick. It's hard to get position. It's hard to save ground on either turn. And so it's just one of those spots where I think you can get a lot better horses at a lot better prices in this spot.
Now, so here's an interesting one. Oldie brings up a point on Count Again. That was a horse we were just going to get to. You get Rosario to ride. You get Pratt off. Well, Pratt's trying to make a relationship with Chad Brown now, so I don't see anything like negative Pratt getting off Count Again. I think Pratt's just like, hey, whatever Chad gives me, I'm going to ride. Well, what other rider do you want coming from dead last? Joel Rosario. If both Smooth Like Straight and Some Like It Hot Brown are in this race, the race sets up for Count Again. And do you see the morning line on this one? We're getting 6-1 on EE. I'm guessing Count Again's probably what, 6 to 10 to 1?
Count Again's 5-1 right now in the morning line. I think it's going to float up. The last race was good, right? Space Traveler got a tough trip in the Kilroy Mile, but Count Again was absolutely rolling and able to get the job done as the 2-1 favorite. I'm not a huge fan of California horses leaving California on the turf, though. It's been one of those things where to me, Smooth Like Straight is the one horse that's been able to kind of continue to dominate when going outside of California, but not even able to win. I generally don't like horses like Count Again when they travel outside of California, just because the waters are just so much deeper here than even what it was in that Grade 1 Kilroy Mile in my mind. And you're seeing that from the strength of the race, right? That was a Grade 1. It got a 72 SOR, and we're jumping up to a 78 SOR. So I think this is a step up for Count Again. I agree with you. Pratt to Rosario, not a big downgrade in my mind. I mean, Rosario obviously. Yeah, there you go. California coming east, toss it. Rosario is a great fit for this type of horse, like you mentioned, coming from off the pace. And look, it makes sense for Pratt to get off with the model horse. If you're leaving California, you don't really want to ride this horse. You want to ride for Chad. You want to ride for, Mott, for Pletcher, for guys like that you're going to try and ride for all summer in New York.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I can say about this race is bet it, because whatever your opinion is, if you're right in the exotics, you're going to make bank. I remember last year I had a huge exacta with the bull. The bull actually went into the gate 5-2, and he went off at 7-2. And I had him over Sacred Life, and the Cassie horse screwed it up for me because Sacred Life was the higher price Chad, and I think the exacta was paying like $20 for $1, and I had it a few hundred times, but we threw away that ticket. But yeah, we talk about horses like Cheryl Spite, like In Love, where you're going to get prices on these horses, and I could make a case for them running a winning race or running a great second or a great third. And then we're also talking about horses that we maybe don't like that are going to be a little bit shorter priced that maybe you could toss. I'd say if I had to pick like a top 3 here, I'm going to go Mason, I'm going to go Set Piece, and I'm going to go. You know what? I really like Set Piece a lot. I think of the closers, that's the closer I want.
I mean, the last 2 races were left something to be desired, right? But man, before that,
Cox back in Kentucky, it's a big difference.
Yeah, and he looked great. I mean, great before that too. First off the layoff here, hasn't run since September, but like that 4-star Dave effort was very good. Was able to win in the Wise Dan at Churchill. So the horse, if the horse is ready to fire, you gotta fear Set Piece, because he's going to be rolling late and should have some pace to chase. So I don't hate the Set Piece idea. I mean, like, this is one where I think you kind of have to have Smooth Like Straight somewhere in your top 3 just because he's so consistent. But I don't think he's going to win the race. I kind of like. I mean, I expect both In Love and Ivar to run huge races. I mean, I think it's tough to leave either of them off your ticket, because Paulo Lobo's been targeting this race. Both of them have wins over the Keeneland turf course, so I think that both of those are going to be ready to fire.
Joe Talamo gets the call again for Ivar, so love him staying aboard. I like it when you are loyal to a jockey and the jockey really gets to know a horse and you follow him everywhere you go, even if you only have one mount that day. But yeah, I've never been on the right side of Ivar or In Love. And so it's either, what usually happens when you start trying to get on the train. It's like the train comes off the tracks. And so
already left the station, man.
I'm going to try to still stay away. So there you have the Maker's Mark Mile. We got the Lexington too this weekend, don't we?
We do.
That is Saturday, I believe.
I can pull up. Let me see here.
I don't think we have Saturday yet.
Here, I got this one. I'll share the early entries.
Go for it.
So yeah, this is here's the Lexington field for Saturday. Interesting setup here. I mean, we got In Due Time, who's coming up from Florida. I think that's awfully interesting. Major General, we're going to see him back for the Pletcher barn. Ethereal Road, who ran last weekend, is going to be back here chasing some Derby points. You got Tawny Port, who we last saw in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, running second, I believe, was coming back here for Brad Cox. So interesting little race here. I like, just based off looking at it, I kind of like In Due Time. I think that Florida's been very good, and I think In Due Time is running against some pretty good horses down there. So that's kind of my initial lean without looking at any past performances. Anything jump out at you on this list?
No, this was a tough race for me. You got to give respect to both of the WinStar runners. You got Major General and Stravia. And then Call Me Midnight. I've been trying to get on that horse, man. It's like time and time again. It's like as soon as I get off of him, he's going to surprise me. And so, Paco Lopez is coming up to ride In Due Time. And so, he's not usually Keeneland guy, but, we're getting Paco back. He's fresh off suspension after a couple of weeks. And so, no, this race, I didn't really zone in on anything here.
I don't see a ton of early speed here, which probably isn't great for Call Me Midnight. He draws that outside post going a mile and a 16th. It means short stretch at Keeneland as well. So I think it's going to be an awfully tall task for a horse coming from way off the pace. In due time, should probably sit mid-pack and then be able to try and make that move on the turn. But a horse, whoever's able to control the pace up front, I do think is awfully interesting in this spot, because if we do see Keeneland front runners do better, the mile and 16th distance is one of those classic distances where horses can very easily wire the field because of that short stretch.
Yep, the short stretch with the stop sign coming up. And, some jockeys, they stand up too early at tracks like this because they think that the short stretch, it's like, no, we got an extra, not quite a 16th, but, a little further. So, all right, we're getting to 5 minutes to post back here at Keeneland. So, Mike, if we're going to try to run back a pick 3 here, when you're playing a ticket like this, obviously we spread in the first leg for the pick 4. Now we're out. So are you a guy that, okay, now I'm thinking I'm going to start singling up because I need to make a bigger score at a higher denomination, or do you like to play your selections back through with your spread ticket?
So I am going to play a ladder style ticket here. So I'll play a dollar ticket with what I have down there. So 6-8 with 3-5, 7-9 with 4-6. But then I'm going to play a $2 and a $5 ticket, and I'll shorten up in both of those tickets to kind of try and press the opinion a little bit. I'm probably going to single the 6 here in the $2 and the $5 ticket because I don't like the price on the 8. I liked it much more when we were getting that 8-1 morning versus catching what I think is now 5-2, or I guess it's floated up a little bit to 4-1.
I can't believe he's favored. Really, I mean, Motion's one of those guys, like you said, usually get a race, run him into fitness. And and we know Graham Motion's one of the good guys. And so, when you're one of the good guys competing against everybody else, it also puts you a little behind the 8 ball sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. The Pletcher barn has been kind of quiet to me the last month. And so I remember watching Aviano run last time out down at Gulfstream Park, and it was okay. I expected a little bit better effort, but they ran this horse at Keeneland, on a wet day last year at this time, and so clearly the key was to get back to Keeneland here. And I just hope this isn't another Todd Pletcher Irad horse that's like a money burner. That's my only concern with the 6.
It's definitely a concern. I'm not going to lie. It's not, it's probably my biggest issue. Cause if you look through it, the numbers all fit. It should get a good trip. Everything kind of fits for the 6 here. It's one of those horses that should win, but will it win is a different question. It definitely likes to burn some money. We've seen that. Last 5 races, it's only won once. It's been sub 4-1 in every race. So definitely concerned with the 6, but I think it kind of found the right field here. And you're seeing that because the 9's taking money because this isn't the best field in the world. So I do think that's why you're seeing it. I think the big race in the sequence is really the next race. If you go to the 7th, that's where I think you can try and really pick somebody out here. I don't like Stage Raider. I like Militarist, the 5 horse at 5-1. Stage Raider has races that fit, but I'm not sold on the fact that you're going to take a short price on it. And everyone, it's half brother to Justify, so everybody loves betting this horse. The race at Gulfstream last time was just not very good against Prevalence, Chocolate Bar, and Soup and Sandwich. So good field, but just not a good race. And then we end up adding blinkers, which is something that Chad's pretty good at, 26% first time out. But I'm kind of concerned this is the first time we're getting blinkers in the 5th effort. It tells you that he's trying to change something, and that's not always what you want to see from a Chad Brown horse. So for me, I went to the 5 horse Militarist, who last time we saw him was in the Grade 1 Clark, ran against a pretty solid field there with Maxfield, Happy Saver, and Midnight Bourbon. Before that, faced Independence Hall in the Grade 2 Fayette. So you get a big time class drop. Biggest concern is obviously the rest, but the trainer is 21% off a layoff between 61 and 180 days, the $4.31 ROI. So I think the 5 is awfully live here, and I like the fact that we get Jose Ortiz up as well.
Yep, absolutely. If I hadn't been watching races today, which I caught a few early before we got on live, and Speed's been doing very well in this dirt today. I liked Winterpool a lot more, but now I've watched some races today, and I'm thinking maybe today's not the day for closers, and so I'm off Winterpool now, although I do love that horse's late turn of foot. I don't know. Buck Moon, this is the Ravelli horse that has a lot of speed, but if you look, what does he do if he even gets somebody within 2 lengths of him? He folds at the end. So this horse, I expect to clearly go out as fast as possible and then probably finish off the board. So I think Buck Moon's a little bit of a cheap speed. Laughing Boy is going to be close. This one was interesting. I'm not much of a McPeak guy, but we are in Kentucky and it's Keeneland, and so you got to pay a little bit more attention to him. I thought this horse maybe figured at a decent, price if you're going to get an 8-1 morning line, and him along with Pirates Punch a little bit. I guess the other thing about Laughing Boys, he's run well on a wet track, and so Stage Raider, yeah, there are concerns. I mean, you got to live up to justify being your older brother. Where do you think the expectation level was set?
Yeah, it's crazy with that type of and people love this horse. I mean, he sold for a bunch of money, and it's just one of those horses that people love to follow because the half brother to justify. So he'll definitely get bet. I agree with you on the 7. I think that's a live horse for McPeak. The big concern is he's not going to make the lead. I mean, the 1 horse is making the lead, and so can the 7 horse stalk and pounce, and that's something not been able to do. The other horse I'm interested in is the other Chad Brown. So I think I'm going to go my short ticket, just 5 and 9, and all the way on the outside. The 9 horse winner pool, that last race was excellent at Aqueduct, going 1 mile and an eighth. The race before that was actually pretty good. Waxman's a pretty good horse, and the horse behind him, Southern District, came back to win as well. So, I think that you're seeing some pretty good races for an improving horse in the 9 horse. So I like him a little bit here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I just looked at the wheel pace. I can't believe how heavy of a favorite Stage Raider is. It's paying $5.64. That's insane. You're getting a 2-1 over a horse that is 3-1 morning line. So you're getting if you just bet the horses to win individually, you're probably going to get the same odds.
That's crazy. I'm surprised it's that short of a price. And we're stepping in the gate here for the 6th. Let us know who you like in the chat as well. Who did everyone else end up going with here? I'm gonna key on the 6 here and hope the 6 gets home, but I'll play a little bit of 6-8 as well.
Yep, 6-8, Land Biscuit, and so motion doesn't run us off the screen. So it looks like they're going to the gate now.
Yeah, it's one of those spots where like this. I get why the 9 horse is getting bet. It's just not for me here, and it'll be interesting to see how well he's able to run. But again, it's if he runs decent, I'm going to stable up the 9 for next time out because you're probably going to see that horse at Belmont and then Saratoga. It's one of those. It's one of those efforts or one of those spots that I think you're going to watch that comeback effort.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, looks like we're off now, and pretty level beginning. Doesn't look like they're going all that fast, but looks like Mitchell Murrow's going to take the lead with Courageously. And the 9's got some speed. Usually, the saying is from Europe horses coming over here, they usually don't break all that fast, but I don't think anybody broke that fast.
No, it looks like they're dawdling up there. I don't think they're going at a very good clip. 21-1. That's actually surprisingly quick for what it looks like they're going on the screen right now.
Oh, I got 23-1 is what I got for the quarter. So,
yep.
Okay. Looks like Land Biscuit's sitting right there close, tactfully. Looks comfortable as well. And then Irad's getting a nice trip in behind in 6th here. Looks like Lannery's trying to do one of those rail rides like he always does.
It doesn't look like it's working out very well right now either.
The rush and steady is really what it is sometimes.
Not quite what you're looking for.
Yeah, okay. We went 48 flat. Looks like Land Biscuit's just loving this trip.
Yeah, Pratt's got him in a great spot. I mean, if he's able to kick from there, he's going to be awfully dangerous. And it's going to be a question of how good he is. The 9's going to go 3 wide on the 2 turns. It looks like the 6 is going to try and follow him right in behind the 9 and then tilt out going down the lane. You just saw the check there to make sure no one was coming outside of him. So Irad thinks he's got a ton of horse, and he hasn't even asked.
He thinks he has a ton of horse. And he's standing very tall, which is always a good sign when Irad's on your horse.
Yep. Who's this?
Looks like somebody's coming up the rail again. Looks like the 9's exploding on the outside, and somebody's coming from the far outside as well. This is the 7, Winworthy. Lannery up the rail, though. Wow.
17-1. Just keep bombing away at Keeneland. Absolutely wild prices today. What's that pick 3 pay?
I mean, that is – you got 9,000 – oh, my gosh, 9,646 for 50 cents.
Congratulations if you hit that pick 3. That is nutty.
It was Johnny V, 12-1, Vicky Oliver horse. Then it was the 70-1 horse that paid $148, and now George Arnold and Corey Lannery. Horse came out of a last place effort at Kentucky Downs, finished mid-pack at Arlington back in July. Won his maiden special at Churchill. This is Did anybody have the 1? Can anybody make a case for that one? Let's go back into the system and take a look at this. EE had an 8% win, which, a horse that's 10, 12 to 1. Makes sense.
That's solid,
From the pace perspective, he actually had this horse on the lead. Maybe that's why Lannery was so full of horse, because it looked like he got stopped and steadied halfway down the backstretch. Yes, Chris. Hello, carryover. Thank you, Lannery, even though I had an 8-6 straight exacta. Anyway.
Justin is right. The horse is very well bred for the turf. I mean, when you go back and you look at it, it's a son of Noble Mission, which is a Galileo, son of Galileo. So really well bred for the turf there. A nice French filly as well. But man, I mean, this is just that effort. That's a big step forward first time out as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, no, who knows? I mean, this does not bode well for Stage Raider. You do not want to be a favorite at this track today. So we see these trends every once in a while on Wednesday racing. You get these crazy things that happen, but look, they were saving that horse since September of 2021 to have a huge effort. I mean, look at the works, from Palm Beach Downs coming in. The works look decent. He started working them a little bit slower once we got closer to race day, but this horse was just absolutely. There's nobody beating this horse today, and
no.
That was that for my tickets. So back to work later today.
Steve's got a nice little double going now too to the 5 and the 8. That's good luck, man. Hopefully we can get that puppy home.
Yeah, I mean, to the 5 and Militarist and then Pirate's Punch. That was the other one that Rosario is going to be riding. That's also going to show a little bit of tactical speed. But that double, it looks like it's paying about $150 to the 5 and $188 to the 8 there. So good luck, Steve. Cash that ticket, man. That would be phenomenal. Probably going to be a carryover for tomorrow. So, tune back into Keeneland tomorrow. Like we said, guys, if you're going to be at Keeneland next week, hit us up on Twitter. You got our handles down below. You can see us. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, playing in the contest, the Grade 1 Gamble on Saturday. So that's going to be fun. Hopefully we get nice weather, and usually we get a bunch of participants. I mean, I think they're expecting like well over 200 people, I assume.
They're shooting for 300 this year, and they're I think it's 6 BCBCs and 4 NHCs. So top 10 get a seat, 75,000 to the winner. I haven't heard. Do you know if Friday's tournament's a feeder, or is it just for BCBC and NHC?
So
seats?
I think they're giving out 1 BCBC and like 3 or 4 NHC seats. I don't know that if it's a feeder. I think it's a $400 contest on Friday, and then $3,500 on Saturday for the big one. But, Frank Mustari won this contest last year. I think he turned 2,500 into about 26,000. Didn't one of your buddies get like to 20K or last year? I forget. I remember you were helping somebody out, or like, they were getting down the last race and we were all kind of like, hey, what are you doing? Or
yeah, Ryan finished 5th last year, I believe. And the key last year is that they had 5 or 6 NHC and 6 BCBC seats that just went to the top 6. So you're playing for 20,000 in seats. I think the top prize was only like 40,000 last year. So it was interesting because you're playing a tournament to seat, not even for the cash prizes, because it's not worth the risk to drop from 5th to 12th and to go for the win. So you want to stay in those top 6. And so it was all about the strategy of how do you kind of stay in that top 6 after going into the last race. And I think he was down to his last $500 or $400, and he put it all to win on King Fury, I think it was, who was the 9 horse. It was like 17-1. Yeah, and that boosted him all the way up to like 5th, and then he had to figure out how to manage it home. But it was he ended up finishing 5th, and he had a fun time. Sat next to him at NHC this year too. It was a blast.
Yeah, great. Oldie, no show tomorrow. I'm traveling, and then we'll get a show in next week sometime for you guys, either Wednesday or Thursday. We're going to try to get the rights to show Keeneland because we'd love to show you guys live video, but we'll figure that out by next week. So until next time, guys. Good luck if you're playing Keeneland, whether you're playing the good chalk or fading the bad chalk. We'll see you next week.